I wanted to record a video because of kind of what I've encountered in life maybe recently, and just thoughts and even thoughts that seem to have come up right before I pressed record. And the main thing that I thought of that I wanted to share about, at least here just maybe a minute ago, was complacency and how scared I am of complacency. And I guess to explain that a little bit, I have always, and I kind of addressed this, I think, in one of my, very first few videos. A reason why I may feel the way I do about complacency is that I've always felt like I needed to, do something with my life. You know what I mean? I have this feeling like I wasn't put here to just kind of meander and or just go through the motions, yeah. And I think that plays into a part of why I have, maybe it's not fear or whatnot exactly, but it's definitely something that's very concerning. You know what I mean? If I ever feel myself just not really moving at all, or I think, I don't know, you get these thoughts of what am I doing? Am I doing enough? Am I just going through the motions? Am I not really pushing myself in a certain way? You know what I mean? You know what's really scary about that, or I guess about complacency, is that you can have thoughts like that. You can have these thoughts of man, what am I doing? I'm not doing, enough. I need to get to work. I need to do stuff. And then maybe you just sit there and you don't do it. You have these thoughts of I really need to do this, and it's why is that a thing? Maybe it's just as simple as a decision, right? And maybe sitting and not doing anything is just your decision. Maybe there isn't anything to figure out with it. But it's definitely something that, I think it's scary because if I were to go through my life, not really contributing or doing anything, I would, if I were to be, I guess, lucky enough to live a long life and long enough to where I'm I may I guess pass of old age, I feel like I'd be filled with a lot of regret, right? The regret of lack of action. And I think that's the scary part, I guess, of complacency, is the regret that will come from inaction. It's so funny because I feel like I've kind of touched on this topic in past videos, and maybe I'm just rewording it, or speaking about it again but on a different day, and maybe my thoughts might be different on it. But I don't know, you can see, it's not hard to see or find what happens when you're complacent in life. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that become very bitter, and which is so interesting because, like, you know, it's like you have a choice, right, to like take action or not take action. And it's like, are you frustrated? Is like people being bitter and outward, like, I guess, expression of their own frustration with their own lack of action within themselves. You know? Because I feel like if you get complacent, like, I don't know, you know what I mean? It just, you get one life, right? YOLO, right? And it's like, you know, time's not gonna stop, right? It's just gonna keep moving, no matter what. No matter if you choose to do nothing or to do something, it's not stopping. I think that's another scary part about it too. Yeah, like, it's so interesting because I think I get like frustrated when I'm faced with some form of complacency, maybe from like another person or whatnot. Like, I get like, and I think the reason why I get frustrated is because, like, I see like maybe those qualities within myself sometimes, and it's like I want to fight it, like, you know what I mean? I just want to get that out of me. I don't know. Yeah, but maybe, like I said earlier, maybe it's just a decision, right? Maybe there's no philosophical or, you know, a complex psychological reasoning behind complacency. Maybe it's just a simple yes or no, right? And maybe complacency is just you choosing, though. I mean, ultimately, like, you have to live with that decision, right? And this is something that is, you know, can be on different scales, right? Like, what if you wanted to build like a really nice garden or something like that, but you never did? You always wanted to, and maybe it's a passion of yours, but you never did. And you're on your deathbed and you're like, man, I never had the nice garden with the nice flowers and planted my own food, or, you know, it could be something simple like that. It doesn't have to be super grandiose, but it can be. You know, it could be like, it could be something as simple as having a conversation with a stranger, right? The decision to try to make a new friend or not. I mean, I don't know. I think complacency can fit into the realm of like comfort zone, right? And it's like the opposite of like, I don't know, man. It's life's weird. But yeah, there's like a sinking feeling that, you know, I get, I think, in my stomach when you just, when I think about like not acting on things, you know, that I want to do. Like, it sucks. It's not a good feeling. I think ultimately, yeah, I think ultimately I just really don't want to be filled with a bunch of what ifs. You know what I mean? What's crazy is like, you know, you could tell somebody all of this, right? You could tell somebody all of this and express some sort of like urgency to them, or not even urgency, but importance towards like just take action, do something. You know what I mean? And like there's some people that will be like, okay, and they may like not take action, or you know, or just choose not to. Like that in itself is scary, right? Like I think because I don't know. It's like if I could visualize it right. If I could visualize complacency. And I know I'm being very like broad or like very generic maybe in my explanation of that word, or like how I may be trying to approach that word currently, but like if I were to visualize it, it's like the typical, and I know people have seen this sort of image where there's a bunch of people in a line, right? And they're all gray. And let's say the person that maybe chooses to like use their free will and, you know, go after what they want to do, whatever, you know, they may like jump out of the line and now they're like colorful, right? Let's say they're blue, I don't know. But let's say like, you know, somebody in the line, right? And you look at them and you're like this, you explaining them the complacency, and this could even be a stranger. You don't even have to know this person. This could be like, but you're like, hey, like, you know, you're explaining the importance of like, you know, do something, you may be filled with regret, blah 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 blah, whatever, and you're like tugging at them to get them out like the line, right? Like you're trying to pull on their arm out the line, and they, all I imagine is like that person that you're trying to pull out of the line, they look at you with this like face of like almost like hopelessness. It's like you could tell like they want to, but like they're just choosing not to. And it's like, and there's nothing you can do. And they just stay in the line. And that's almost how I feel about like myself sometimes. You know what I mean? Like my mind is like, hey dude, get out of here. You know what I mean? Like get, like stop, right? You're like, what are you doing? Like, we need to do stuff. You know? It's like a mental battle. But yeah, like I said, maybe there's no like complex, maybe there's no complexity to it. Maybe it's just as simple as a choice. You know? And it's so funny, like if it's that simple, like why wouldn't everybody do it? And I don't immediately have the answer to that. You could say like, oh, because like maybe like not being complacent is more difficult than just like being whatever about everything. Sure. I don't know, you could argue like But people, I mean, I feel like people do things that are difficult all the time. Things that don't exactly maybe contribute to not being complacent, but just like, it could be like, I don't know. I think the main thing is I just don't want to be filled with what ifs, right? So the solution seems simple, right? Just don't be filled with what ifs. Hopefully some of this makes sense. Right. It's like kind of all over the place possibly, but yeah. I think a part of it, I don't know, man, complacency is like, you know what complacency is? It's like watching yourself drown, but like, it's like you watching yourself drown from a third person perspective and not helping yourself.